For centuries, this has been the holiest accessible site in Judaism, but the true secret of the Western Wall isn't just the stones themselves. Its sacred power comes from a 3,000-year-old promise tied not to this specific wall, but to the very ground it holds back. This is the story of how one spot on earth became a permanent link between humanity and the divine. In the 10th century BCE, King Solomon built the first temple, but its true foundation wasn't the gold, it was a prayer. When dedicating it, Solomon asked that God's attention would always be turned toward this place. He prayed that any prayer offered toward this location, by an Israelite or a foreigner, would be heard in heaven. He wasn't just blessing a building, he established a permanent gateway to the divine, tied to a physical spot on earth. About 300 years later, Jerusalem faced annihilation by the Assyrian Empire. King Hezekiah, facing certain defeat and a mortal illness, did something profound. Isaiah chapter 38 says he turned his face to the wall and prayed. He was physically orienting himself toward the Temple Mount, the place Solomon had consecrated. In his darkest hour, Hezekiah was activating that ancient promise, praying toward the location that held the covenant and pleading for the divine intervention that Solomon had requested. And this is the secret. The sanctity of the Western Wall isn't just because the temple stood there. Its power is inherited from the ground itself. Solomon's prayer designated the location as a gateway. Hezekiah's answered prayer was proof that faith directed toward this spot would be heard. The holiness wasn't in the building, but in the divine promise attached to the place itself, a symbol of an unbreakable covenant. After the first temple's destruction and the building of a second, King Herod expanded the Temple Mount. The Western Wall we see today is a surviving retaining wall from that massive project. When the Romans destroyed the Second Temple in 70 CE, this outer wall remained. It became the focal point for prayer because it was the closest accessible place to where the Holy of Holies once stood. Jewish tradition teaches that the Shekinah, or God's divine presence, never departed from the Western Wall, a belief rooted in the holiness of the location it borders. So when you see people praying at the Western Wall, you're witnessing more than a ritual of mourning for a lost temple. It is the modern expression of a 3,000-year-old story. The wall's enduring power comes not just from what was lost, but from a promise made to this very place and a plea that was answered. It stands as a timeless testament that even when empires fall and buildings turn to dust, a divine promise can make a simple stone wall one of the most powerful places on earth.